my very long review of Kill Bill Volume 2. What can I say? It's a long-ass film, and there's a lot to talk about.
I have a few unanswered questions before this tale of bloody revenge reaches its climax.
Today, we're going to be talking about the final chapter in this film and the franchise so far, Face to Face. In order to find Bill, Beatrix visits a man who served as Bill's surrogate father and the type of father figure you'd expect for somebody like Bill, a Mexican pimp named Esteban Viejo, played by another actor returning from Volume 1 in a completely different role, Michael Parks. The bride visits Esteban at his Mexican brothel, which, according to what I read, was a real operating brothel, and most of the women you see lounging in the background were real prostitutes working there. The bride sits down with Esteban, who is said to be 80 years old, but still has a very sensual personality.
Well, I would relish the opportunity to converse with such a pretty companion as yourself.
She puts on a similar dumb blonde girl persona like the one she used when she first met Hattori Hanzo. Although for this meeting she doesn't try to hide who she really is, and when Esteban rambles on, the bride shows little patience for his shit. Particularly when he comments that if he was Bill, he wouldn't have shot her.
I would have been much nicer. I would have just cut your face.
To which we then see a prostitute who has a pretty well healed in facial scar across her lips.
God, that's graphic.
After being asked one more time where Bill is, Esteban gives up where he is pretty easily and says to the bride he loves him like a son, and the reason he helps her is, without actually saying that he loves her,
"How are you ever going to see you again?"
It's a pretty calm but grim scene, and Michael Parks does an excellent job playing a Mexican pimp. He does such a good job, you'd swear he actually was Mexican, and fun fact, originally, Quentin Tarantino wanted Ricardo Montalban to play Esteban, but after hearing Michael Parks read through the dialogue, he decided to cast him instead.
From hell's heart, I stab at thee. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
The bride makes her way to Bill, fully ready to kill him on the spot for massacring her group at the wedding chapel and for, as she believes, killing her unborn baby. And it's at this point in this really long film that I wonder if anybody had forgotten the final line of dialogue at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1.
Is she aware her daughter is still alive?
And with a gun at the ready, Beatrix goes through the house, and with the turn of a corner and a really fucking intense zoom in on her face, a technique that has since become a trademark of Tarantino since Kill Bill, we see...
Freeze, Mommy!
Fully alive and happy to finally meet her mother.
I wasn't expecting that to happen.
The scene where Beatrix meets her daughter, who we see Bill is named BB, is very well done in the sense that it starts with Bill and BB playing a game of pretending to shoot each other and having BB pretend to shoot at her mom. Bill saying in a way that's both funny but sadistically cruel,
You're dead, Mommy. So, die.
and not wanting to do anything traumatizing in front of her kid. She plays along, and we get a just heartbreakingly beautiful reunion between Beatrix and her daughter. Bill steps in, fully aware that Beatrix intends to kill him, so while their kid is there, he takes advantage and talks with the both of them. In a very jarring scene that is both touching but twisted, Bill prepares a sandwich for BB, even cutting off the crust, while talking about her killing her goldfish the other day by doing a dumb kid thing.
And what did you say?
I stepped on him.
And just how did your foot accidentally find its way into Emilio's fishbowl? And she said, no. Emilio was on the carpet. The plot thickens.
Talking about how even a little kid can understand life and death.
Is that not the perfect visual image of life and death? A fish flapping on the carpet.
After taking the kid to bed and explaining in the best way they can without getting too graphic that Bill tried to kill Mommy.
I shot her for real.
Why do you want to see what happened?
I knew what would happen to Mommy if I shot her.
Oh, that ain't right.
Beatrix and BB watch a movie together, putting BB to sleep. The movie they watch is Shogun Assassin, which is an interesting pick for a little kid. But hey, she's being raised by a crime lord, growing up around assassins, which makes me curious a little bit before I move on. Considering she's been raised by Bill and he's been dating Ellie the past few years, you gotta wonder what part Ellie played in this kid's life, because that's a pretty scary thought.
No wire hangers! No wire hangers ever!
After making sure BB is comfortable and in bed, Beatrix finally goes down to have her big confrontation with Bill.
Showtime.
Bill admires her Hanzo sword. Beatrix states all she had to do was say his name to get Hanzo to break his blood oath.
That'd do it.
And as she sits down, they talk about how this is going to play out because they both know this is only going to end with them dueling to the death. While talking, the bride tries to make a jump for Bill's Hanzo sword.
Like a couple of real life, honestly.
And then the film takes a really well done break from anything deadly. After Bill shoots the bride in the leg with a dart containing a truth serum.
Twice as strong as sodium pentothal, with no druggy after effects.
Sure. Why not?
We get a 10 to 20 minute sequence of the two of them just talking. Bill getting more and more drunk throughout the night, asking and listening to the bride explain what led to her leaving him after she found out she was pregnant. Bill himself gives a really well-written monologue about superheroes and comics, particularly Superman, and how Clark Kent is fake and sees the way he acts as a coward, as Superman's critique of humans. Relating it to the bride putting on the persona of Arlene when she was going to marry Tommy in El Paso.
Trying to disguise yourself as a worker bee. But you're not a worker bee. You're a renegade killer bee. Nothing would ever change that.
And in a way, he is kind of right. She has done many awful things, but like Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction, she wants to be better, wants to be good, and you see that after feeling nauseous, she took a pregnancy test and finding out she was pregnant just changed her. After almost being killed by another assassin, who she was able to talk out of by convincing her she was pregnant, she decided she had to get her child away from the criminal world.
Not your decision to make.
Yes, but it's the right decision, and I made it for my daughter.
And even though she could kill him right there, they finish their conversation where Bill tries to justify his behavior, saying, I'm a killer, I'm cold-blooded.
I was trying to track down the fucking assholes I thought killed you. And what do I find? Not only are you not dead, you're getting married. I overreacted.
And the bride's reaction is just perfect. It's like, understatement of the fucking millennium.
Could you do what you did? Of course you could. But I never thought you would or could do that to me.
With everything that had to be said over, Beatrix proclaims, "You and I have unfinished business." Bill, pretty plastered, says, "Baby, you ain't kidding." And instead of this spectacle action sequence that you'd expect it to all be building up to, which was going to be the original ending and was pretty much what Bill summarized they could do, they take out their katanas and Bill disarms her, but she's able to grab hold of his katana, and then she performs the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, revealing that Paimei taught her the most famous technique that he never taught anyone else. Coughing up blood, Bill asks why she didn't tell him. Beatrix, knowing Bill's done for, breaks down and says, "I guess I'm a bad person." Bill says, "You're not a bad person. You're a terrific person. But every once in a while, you can be a real cunt. Aren't we all?" What makes this scene so heartbreaking is you can tell they did love each other, and they both wish it could have ended differently.
How I look?
You look ready.
Bill gets up, takes the 5 steps, and dies. Beatrix stares at her former lover, enemy, wipes her tears, gathers her daughter, this is going to lead to an awkward conversation later, and heads off. We cut to BB sitting on a bed watching what looks like an old Looney Tunes Disney type cartoon, while Beatrix is in the bathroom hugging a stuffed animal, crying tears of joy, unable to believe, and just filled with so much happiness for finally being reunited with her daughter. And anybody who's a parent who loves their kids, really loves their kids, can totally relate to this scene. She joins her daughter on the bed, and we get a final text saying, "The lioness has rejoined her cub, and all is right in the jungle." Ending this incredibly long but amazingly well directed and written 2-part film franchise. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, or as Tarantino sees it, just one big film, because it allows him to still make one more movie before he retires, are his tributes to the violent exploitation kung fu films he grew up watching, mostly the first film. The second film, we get a bit more of the dialogue-heavy, character-driven storylines that his first few films were famous for, but we still got those love letters, and they were also the movies that were made specifically to showcase Uma Thurman and show her as a badass female protagonist. The tone and story were wonderfully helped by the extremely well-skilled cinematography of Robert Richardson and the editing by the late, great Sally Menke. Tarantino chooses another wonderful soundtrack of many different songs, with some musical scoring credited to the RZA and Tarantino's fellow filmmaker and brother from another mother, Robert Rodriguez. Rodriguez scored Kill Bill for $1, apparently, and not long after that, Quentin Tarantino directed a scene for Rodriguez's movie Sin City. His price for directing, $1. And then the film plays out to Malwinha Salarosa by Robert Rodriguez's band Chingon. And as the song plays, we get an amazing end credits where we get the cast not just for Volume 2, but for Volume 1. Acting as if Volumes 1 and 2 weren't split up and this was the end of a really long odyssey of a film. Whenever we see a credit for a member of the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad, we also get the character's codename. The final roll call, we see the bride, and she gets the multiple credits of Beatrix, aka the bride, aka Black Mamba, and then, even for the manliest of men, this would be hard not to get a little choked up over. We get... Excuse me a minute.
I apologize. I lost my train of thought. I got carried away.
And I guess just because he wanted to, we get a second set of end credits, even with names that were already listed.
It never ends.
We see the names of the Deadly Vipers getting crossed off, except for Ellie Driver, which just has a question mark over it. The credits play out for several minutes, and it's almost like we're getting 2-3 different versions of the end credits, before finally ending with a blooper of the eye-gouging scene in the Crazy 88 battle in Volume 1.
Oh, come on, let's do it again.
The lyric from Don't Stop Believing, the movie never ends, it goes on and on, almost feels appropriate here. But unlike the other movies where I've thought of that song due to the length, this film is a fucking masterpiece. And I know I'm just sounding like a repetitive film fag sucking Tarantino's dick right now, but he can film just about anything, whether it be making mac and cheese or driving through LA. It can go on for several minutes, and you're engaged in every second of it. Uma Thurman gives the defining performance of her career in this film as Beatrix Kiddo, the bride, Black Mamba, Mommy. And just because I know some people would bug me if I didn't bring it up, while making Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, there was an accident where Uma was driving a car with the camera attached to the back. Tarantino had her drive it on a dirt road at a very fast speed without wearing a seatbelt. She lost control of the car and crashed. According to Uma Thurman, the accident caused her serious pain that has lasted all these years, and it was due to this reckless decision by Tarantino that apparently they had a fallen out for a while. But after there was some controversy about it, Uma and Quentin have confirmed they are on good terms. Whether they'll ever work together again is uncertain, because Tarantino says he'll only do one more movie, but hey, as long as they're friends, because they really made each other's careers. And hey, accidents happen, sometimes a director makes a poor decision, and it's a far cry from the Twilight Zone movie.
I swear, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached.
David Carradine gives a really impressive performance here. After starring in a shit ton of crap movies, he really showed that he could be a good actor here, playing a villain who was charming, evil, has a heart, but can be two-faced and turn on you at the drop of a hat. Michael Madsen, after not being involved with Tarantino for a decade since Reservoir Dogs, he gave a really nice performance as a conflicted, but still well-equipped and reasonably smart criminal. The Bud character is the most interesting and complex of the people on the bride's death list. Daryl Hannah, she was a villain you just loved to hate. Vicious, not to be trusted, pathetic, and second best to the true yellow-haired warrior. Perla Haney Jardine, in her film debut as Bibi, is surprisingly really good. She says her dialogue very convincingly. If she had been given a much bigger, more dramatic part in another movie, I could easily see her being one of those little kids that gets an Oscar nomination. And 15 years later, she reunited with Tarantino for a very small but very important cameo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. On the 10-star scale, I give Kill Bill Volume 2 a 9.7 out of 10. There's maybe a few tiny things that you think maybe could have gone a little differently, but this film, this franchise, is just a perfect blast to watch, especially on a weekend where you have nothing to do.
Wonderful!
Have a good rest of your summer. I'll see you again soon, and the next Tarantino film I'll be jumping into will be Inglorious Bastards.
Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps, and I want my scalps.
Congratulations.